Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Chris Rieres, and I will be your host on this channel in a series of how to enhance business workflow using Microsoft Business Central in Teams. And before I get started, I want to say thank you for all those that have subscribed to the channel and sticking with me and viewing the content. I do hope that the information that I provide will help for those that may be interested in moving into this dynamic space, particularly Business Central or Dynamics 365 in general, because I cover other products as well. And I hope that you'll find a good starting point in either starting your career within Business Central as well, or you're curious of how you can streamline Business Central with other products. So with that, I will be your guide through this journey of optimizing your operations with these powerful tools. So part one of the series will explore how Business Central can streamline your business processes from sales management to daily operations, and how integrating it with Microsoft Teams, with Business Central with Microsoft Teams, can boost collaboration and efficiency. So we're going to start with Teams, but we'll dive into other M365 products as well and how you can utilize those and streamline your process. So whether you are a seasoned Business Central end user or even a consultant, or just getting started in the Business Central space and you're up and running, what do you do? What else can you do with Business Central? So you'll find valuable insights and practical tips to transform the way your team works. So if you're ready to take your business to the next level, hit that subscribe button so we can dive right in. And again, together, this whole video will unlock the full potential of Business Central in Teams, creating a seamless, very productive and collaborative work environment. So let's get started.
Man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
All right, so now I'm on my Business Central. And before I get started in this one, I do hope that you guys, if you're watching this or listening, that there are Microsoft conferences or user conferences that are happening. So check this out. I always join those events. And so there's also local chapters as well, or local summit or get together that talks about the Dynamics 365 space. So a lot of the content will be taught by other professionals as well. So I'm looking forward to that. So you see Business Central, what we're going to do is we're going to start with Business Central and kind of, elaborate what it's, how to set this up as well. So a few objectives, particularly in this video, we're going to navigate the integration functionalities within Microsoft Teams and Business Central. And I'm also going to demonstrate the step-by-step process of integrating Teams with Business Central. So the first things first, with the Business Central Teams application, you can search for Business Central, which I'll walk you through and how to do that, how to add it. Again, the integration key benefits is improved collaboration, real-time data access, and enhanced productivity. So I'll also showcase how you can add Business Central to Teams as well. When you add Business Central to Teams, it minimizes app switching between the two products, so you can interact with Business Central while you're already in Teams as well. So that means you can look at customer table, vendors, items, bank accounts, chart of accounts, and any views as well. I'll also showcase how you can share, so copying a link and then or sharing it to a Teams channel. So whatever that looks like, again, we'll showcase a lot of those. Within Teams conversation, I'll show you how you can pull up records or paste records, and you can immediately collaborate between multiple parties within your organization, minimizing that app switching. One of the things that I won't be covering on this video is licensing and permission. I will kind of showcase this kind of a high level, kind of get you started of how this all works out. And we'll cover the just the functionality of the application. So if you do have any questions on the permissions or licensing, I will say that you need at least a minimum license for M365 so that you can view the record, not necessarily interact. And it also respect the permissions within Business Central when a collaborative party needs to interact with the record that you're sharing. It will take those into consideration. I'll also provide some links as well as a reference to this so that you have something to go do a follow-up on. So let's get started. So within Business Central, the first thing you want to do is enable this. So you do need at least some sort of admin access to enable this within your organization. So first things first, I'm going to search for assisted setup. So I need to enable this throughout the organization or within your group. So under assisted setup, what I'm going to do is scroll down and search for Teams app centralized deployment. Now, I've already set mine up, so it gives me a checkbox, but all this really does for you is kind of walk you through how to enable. So right now it tells me like I've already set this up. That's fine. I'm going to hit run. And you can read through this. You can learn a little bit more about deploying Teams apps. And I'm going to hit next. So that's pretty much it. So this 4-step process is all you need to enable. One thing's for sure is that it's easier for you to just leave this up and then just clicking this link. Otherwise, if you're familiar with the admin center, you can navigate through this from the Teams admin center down to the Teams app and then set up your policies. In this case, I'm just going to click on this. So it'll take me there directly, so I don't have to search for it. It saves me time. And then follow the rest of the steps, 2, 3, and 4. So I'll walk you through that right now. So I'm going to go ahead and click this button. It's going to take me as a separate window. All right. And again, once you set this up, the collaboration is pretty much limitless in a sense, because you can literally minimize app switching, so you don't have to log in 2 different applications if you just need to collaborate. Very helpful in sales, very helpful in warehousing collaboration when your warehouse is maybe an entirely different location or without having to go there physically to do anything. So right here, it'll take me directly to my app setup policies. Now, I already have here for Business Central for Teams, but if you don't, right, what you would typically do is click the Add button. Okay, so what you do is you click the Add button. So I'm going to click Add here. And the first thing you want to do is set up a policy name. So you can do like Contoso Teams, right? I mean, you can even specify this only for maybe sales or something like that. Whatever name policy you want. This is a policy for Teams integration. You can have the user the ability to pin it on Teams. Usually by default, that's turned on. You'll see these are the pinned apps here as well. To add Business Central to Teams, you will click on the Add Apps. And I'm going to search for Business Central. And it should pull up here. So you see Business Central, I'm going to choose and select Business Central. Now you notice there's an app permission policy. Again, I'm not going to cover that right now, but I'm going to make it global so all of my team members can have access to this application. Again, it still respects the permission that you would set within Business Central, who can access Business Central. So now I have my application added. I'm going to click Add. And you'll notice now that this is the application that I'll be adding. Now, again, you can add the apps here as well or pin it. In this case, I'm going to leave it alone. I want people to kind of search for this one, and I'm going to showcase how you can add Business Central. So I'm not going to do that here. I'm going to hit Save. Okay, and I'm going to hit Save here again. So now my policy is now set up. It's called Contoso Team Sales. You'll see it right here. This is now a policy. Once you're configured and set up, the next thing we need to do is head back to Business Central to kind of finish that step. So you get that checkbox within the system setup that you are done. So I'm going to go ahead and click next. And now it can take 24 hours, up to 24 hours. It can be as quickly as 15 minutes, or it could be up to 24 hours. So just kind of be patient on with that. But again, I've never had to wait for 24 hours. It's usually fairly quickly, but I want to make sure that you are aware. So I'm going to go ahead and click done. And now that box is checked for me and I am all set. So the next step for us is to jump into Teams. So I'm going to pull up Teams here, and let me move it over so you could see the application. So this is a good example. Now I've already set this up, and I've already demoed this. That's why you'll see some of these things. So I wanted to point out, first things first, when you are needing to add Business Central to Teams, it's fairly easy. Just click the plus apps here. And then I'm going to search for Business Central. So if I search for Business Central, you will see Business Central. There's an option for you to add. So I'm going to go ahead and click that, or click add directly from here. And it'll open this window, pretty much the same thing. Now it would say add or install. Right now it's open because I've already done that. But you could do additional stuff directly from this Windows, particularly if you're an admin. Maybe you want to add Business Central to a channel or a Teams channel. So from this point, you can click add to a team or add to a chat, maybe an existing chat you already have with a colleague. So in this case, I'm going to show how to add to a team. Let's say you have a Teams channel for sales or warehousing. You can do that from here. So I'm going to hit add to a team, and I can choose which channel I have or team that I have. So in this case, I have one for contracts and sales. So I'm going to click contracts and sales, and I'm going to click setup tab. What this does, it adds this tab, and you'll see it here as it loads. You'll see this tab at the very top, right up here. Hopefully you guys could see. Yep, you could see it right up here. And then you can choose which tab. Like I mentioned earlier, you can do customers, vendors, items, bank accounts, and chart of accounts. In this case, because it's contracts and sales, I may want to add customer, which fortunately I already have customers here, but maybe I want to add items as well because maybe sales needs to interact with items. I can go ahead and click items here. And at that point in time, before I move on, you can add or specify which environment, because as an organization, you should have at least a production environment, but you may also have a sandbox environment as well. If you need to maybe do some testing with a group of people, you don't want to pull up a production tab versus a sandbox that you may be using it for training purposes. So in this case, I'm going to keep the production. I'm going to use that environment. I can also specify which company. So if you have multiple companies in multiple teams, for example, another good use case for this is that, let's say you have teams in different territories, or not territories, different companies. You have multiple companies, you have different teams for that. So you can specify which team maybe, or not team, which company, I keep saying team, which company, you may have a separate group of people on your sales team for one company, and you may have another for another company as well. So you can choose which company here. So I'm going to hit save. Now you can check this box here, post to the channel about this tab. Basically, whoever is in that channel will get notified that, hey, you've added a tab within this Teams. So I'm going to do is hit save here. And as soon as that's done, you'll notice that there is now a items tab. And I'll also pull up customers here as well. And you'll see that. Now, the most amazing benefit of this particular feature is that it allows people in your team for collaboration to stick with one application without having to jump from to the browser to access the web client of Business Central and then jumping back to Teams. You can work directly from here. So it respects your permissions. It will limit though in terms of visibility. For the tabs, one of those limitation is that it doesn't give you the full browser experience, but you can get access. Like for example, the search, global search, kind of the top bar of your Business Central and the web client, but it will give you all the actions you need. You can navigate to the records. You can see all the fact boxes and so forth. So for example, if I interact with this particular record, I can go directly from here and kind of really just interact with the application. Now, if you have the permission, you can make changes directly from here. You can also chat with your teams directly from here as well. So if you are working, let's say, for example, on a particular account, a customer, or items, let's say you're working on this item, you can work with somebody and say, hey, David, I have David So here as a user, and say, take a look at this account, or item, right? So I can go ahead and have that collaboration. I'll show you how that works too with individual chats as well. But if David has the proper permission, he or she would be able to interact with this record as well. Let's take a look at customer. You'll see what a customer looks like. Again, you get full access to this depending on your permissions. So let's pull this up. Same thing. You get all the fact boxes. You can start a conversation about this as well. And there it is. Now, let's jump into, let's take a look at that post, by the way. You'll see it's posted here, right? These are items. Take me to that item tab, and then I can just pick up where I left off with your items tab. So back to the individual chat. So as I mentioned, there's multiple ways to share record. So if I head back to my Business Central, let's go ahead and hide that for a bit. And let's say, for example, I am working with David, particularly on a client. So if I go hit, or maybe a sales order. Let's say David is out in the field working with a client, and they say, hey, there's a problem with the sales order. And you may be an organization that don't have a full CRM, but they may have access to, they'll have access to the client. They're in front of them. Hey, this is the sales order I'm dealing with. Maybe they have the sales order number. So what you would typically do, David would reach out to customer service via Teams channel, say, hey, there's a problem with this order. So if David has access to the tab or Business Central, David can go ahead and share that record with myself. Let's say I'm the customer service, or maybe David doesn't have access to Business Central right at the, right in front of the customer, but they have the SO, sales order number. So what you would typically do, and again, this is real world case scenario, what David do is reach out to customer service, say, hey, there's a problem on a sales order for this customer. Sales order number is 1009. Okay, so as a customer service admin, I would pull this up and I see, okay, there's an order, and maybe David and I need to collaborate of what he's trying to do. Like, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to add? What do you need to make adjustments and so forth? So what I could do is what can I do is share this record with David So while we're chatting away. The one is share to Teams. The other is copy a link. I will, in this case, for this example, I'm going to copy a link because I want this particular record to interact with David. So I want to interact with David on this, collaborate with David on this. So I'm going to copy the link. And next step is I will go back to my chat here with David, and I would go ahead and paste it. Now, before you hit enter, I want to make a point that there is a little delay in terms of pulling the card for this particular record. So again, another one of those gotchas. So if I just hit paste enter, you'll notice that it doesn't really do anything. Oh, now it's doing it for this demo. Before it wouldn't do it, maybe because it's already rendered, there's already a record. If it's a new record, you need a little bit of time before you hit enter for it to render or pull up the card. So aside from that, I could go ahead and continue to have this conversation with David. David may ask questions like, okay, what about this? What about that? So David, from David's perspective or point of view, he can go ahead and click details. And once you click details, you'll notice that it pulled up the record as a separate window. Now you can't quite do this on the browser base of Teams. So if David is on his laptop and they're in front of the customer, you can go ahead and have that conversation with David. It's like, okay, what's wrong with this order? And then David may respond or chat and say, hey, I need to add so and so, or hey, I need to add the London swivel chair. And I also need to add one more additional quantity for the whiteboard. So as a customer service, or again, if David has access to this, David can go ahead and see those changes. Now, David may not have permissions to make changes, but I do. I can make those changes. David can see those changes as well immediately. So I'll go ahead and click this to 3. And this is, of course, I have to reopen. I'm sure everybody has dealt with that before. So I'm going to go ahead and refresh this page. And now it is still released. I'll go ahead and reopen this. And I can go ahead and make my changes. So I can say 2, and they ask for 5 more swivel chairs. I can go ahead and release this record. And now it's live, because if we go back to my Business Central, and I go back out and reopen this, you should see those changes. So it's live. Now, typically back in the day, what end users would have to deal with, where they would collect all that information about the sales order, the customer wants to make some changes, they're in front of the customer, and they would email it at the end of the day. And what happens is that now you're a day behind. Not only a day behind, but shipping may not happen until the following day, because you may have a cutoff time. Very useful use case is that if somebody needs to make adjustments, and it's, you have to submit that order, release that order by 3 p.m. to make it in the same day shipping. Instead of emailing, and we get a ton of emails already, you can immediately have that collaborative teamwork of making those changes with maybe a customer service rep, make that changes on the fly, live, and it's up and running. And we did that in a very short period of time. Again, going back to Teams here, you will see that with that conversation I had with, let me pull that back up here. I made that changes right away, and we're done. Conversation is over, and I am set to go. I can go ahead and just close this out. Close this window, back to my channel, and you'll see that it's already there. Now, remember I mentioned to you that you can also add the tabs for items and customers. You can do that here. I shared that items tab with David or customer. You can also do it from an individual chat or the Teams channel. So again, with that, as you can see, you can interact with Business Central directly from a single application, in this case, Teams, without having to deal with app switching between 2 or 3 applications. You can do that here. On the next series, we'll talk about how you can also introduce Outlook with that, and how you can streamline Business Central and Outlook together. So with that, again, I appreciate everyone's time on this video. Video's a little longer. Hopefully this will be quicker once you set it up. Please consider all your and how you're communicating with your team members within your organization, and how you can utilize Teams and Business Central collaboration and streamline that process so that you can be more efficient with your day-to-day things. And you can also do this with warehousing too. So maybe you're working on an item, maybe another use case scenario where someone is doing a physical count and there may be some discrepancies. Somebody can pull up the item record and share that record maybe to the inventory manager that's in a separate building, referencing that record within. So actually, let me show you that really quick. So let's say, for example, I'm referencing to this record. Let's do it from Business Central, and we can end it with that. So back to Business Central, I'm going to go and navigate out of this one, and let's go to items. And let's say I'm a warehouse employee. There's some issues with this item. I need to adjust, but maybe I need to have a conversation. So I can go ahead and copy that link. Okay. And then maybe David is, actually, let's use another person. And let's say Karen. And say, Karen, this record here. So you'll notice it give a little bit of delay, new record. And so now I can have a conversation with Karen and said, this is off, need assistance. Okay. And from that standpoint, I can even pop this window up so I can keep track of this particular record. And if we take a look at this and hit details, you'll notice that I can pull up that record and directly from here to get me additional details or get me directly to the application. Can you guys see that? Oh, I just did all that without. So basically, I added the link to the chat. It gives me this detail here. Of course, I got to refresh with this Teams. It should pull up the record here, just like the one I showed you earlier. And then I can go ahead and have a full interaction with Karen regarding this record. And we're here. And make some adjustments and maybe the description is wrong. So if the description is wrong, maybe this is called Dinosaur Athens Desk. So I can go ahead and finish saving that. So if I head out of this conversation, because maybe we've fixed the problem, and going back to Business Central, I should see that refresh here. And there you go. It's called the Dinosaur Athens Desk. So as you can see, it's very live. There's no emails back and forth. Sometimes that can get lost with hundreds of emails that we all receive. You can do it directly from Teams. So with that, I appreciate all of your time. Thank you for sticking out with this one. Hopefully you'll find some valuable insights here, valuable tips that you can implement now within your organization. So with that, thank you everyone for sticking with this video. If you have any questions, leave a comment or reach out to me. My link to my blog, you can go ahead and take a look at the other things that I'm working there as well. So thank you everyone and take care.
Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration, and if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.